Uh, and, Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Chernevsky. I'm the host and producer of this podcast, is Uncalled For. You may have noticed we are not doing live Fringe this year because of a COVID outbreak in this very house. I myself was not affected, but other people were. And that is why we could not do live Fringe this year. We'll see about next year. So in the meantime, you get us for virtual Fringe for the third year in a row. And want to thank all my guests for agreeing to the transition from in-person to virtual. And thank you. I couldn't do this without you, and you guys rock. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Welcome to this podcast is Uncalled For.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is Uncalled For.
Podcast, all right. Well,
what's uncalled for about it?
What we doing at Tijuana?
And you're like, what did you just say?
It's a bit of a slap in the face and an insult.
And then look, thank you back home.
Oh, that's going to be great for the football chant.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what's that character from Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything literally?
Because it always happens. It always happens.
That is uncalled for, Michael.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to what's going to be a virtual Fringe episode of the podcast for reasons I hope everyone is familiar with right now. But joining me today, even though his camera is not on, my friend and fellow filmmaker, Jason Turner. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. I'll turn my camera on here in just a moment if I can.
Hey, great. While you're doing that, I guess a great question for everyone to get started is, all right, great seeing the Iron Detective helmets in the back there. So.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Of course, the Iron Detective is Jason's big sci-fi cyberpunk work. So
Yeah. It's a labor of love.
mm-hmm.
Something I've been working on for a while. Yeah,
no question.
Seems like most of our friends in KC know about it, I would imagine. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm down to I mean, I guess, what did you want to talk about?
well, Iron City's a great Iron Detective. That's how long you've been working on this. I still recall it being the Iron City Chronicles.
That's right. It used to be called Iron City Chronicles. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with Iron City Beer, which is a Pittsburgh area beer.
Yeah, technically Pittsburgh is Iron City, from what I understand. So,
well, it's Steel City, but yeah.
Yeah, Steel and Iron. Yeah, nickname type stuff. So, but yeah, I've been working on it for a while, and we've actually just launched an order to get a 40-page comic printed out there, but because printing and shipping is so high right now, we're doing a digital version of it. And if we hit a certain goal, then we'll go ahead and print some books.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I'm also working with Andrea Dover, who is helping produce that, as well as helping produce American Evil,
Mhm.
which is our horror Western project that we're working on. And you want to say hi?
Yeah, sure.
Whoa.
Hello, Andrea. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, welcome to the podcast. Yeah. All right. Good to see you. All right.
So I might pass it back and forth there. We've still
That's all
got
right.
furniture things going on here.
Sure. Yeah. So
But,
yeah. So
yeah, that's what I've been working on for a while, and I hope that I'm kind of hoping that Kansas City can get into a position. I mean, and maybe this is just me. Maybe I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but it feels to me that there's a lot of fear in Kansas City, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of people that have these really cool ideas and really cool networks and groups that they're a part of, and then they just kind of flounder, and they kind of, it's like pushing up that rock up the hill or whatever, and eventually they just say, I'm not going to do this anymore, I give up, or I'm too depressed or whatever. And it's, to me, and I'm just, this is just my personal opinion.
Mhm.
To me, it kind of puts us in a bad spot as far as creatively. Now, I'm not saying that everybody, there's a lot of talented people that are working on things, and I feel like a lot of people are afraid to collaborate. And maybe that's just a personal thing. Maybe people are just like, I don't like you, I don't want to collaborate with you. So, and that's fine, because the way I do things is not going to work for the way other people do things.
Right.
So respectfully, Andrea and I and a couple other friends of ours, we've been talking about how the local KC area is kind of trapped, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but somebody that I was speaking with recently kind of said that Kansas City, and I think they're paraphrasing somebody else, but they said that Kansas City is kind of like a filmmaking ghetto. I don't know if that's a appropriate term, but I think the idea is that there's a lot of people that are still kind of trapped in that hobby. Instead of making it a business, it's more of a hobby.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I love the hobby thing, but I've been doing this long enough that
Right.
it's not really a hobby to me anymore. It's something that I really want to do.
Mm.
And it's a struggle, but it's also encouraging to see, people that are coming up, and they're asking us questions like, well, what are you guys working on? It's like, well, actually I'm producing something with some local friends, and we're trying to do something that's a little bit outside the box. Maybe we'll do something that has a little bit more bite, and again, the way I do things is differently than the way other people does things. So I could be completely wrong, but I mean, what are your thoughts on the Kansas City film scene?
Well, we're definitely not Hollywood,
Right.
for one. Number two, you're right. There is a lot of film talent in our city, and yeah, there are people that will go at loggerheads with one another and probably shouldn't collaborate with one another. But those that do, I think, have a success, big or small. And I think the epitome of what to me is a good, or was a good, KC filmmaker would probably be our late friend Dave Barry, and Brian Boy would be another good example.
I was gonna move something. I miss Dave Barry. I was just thinking about him the other day because he was aggressive in a good way. Like
Mhm.
he was trying to make some content, and I remember when he launched that film festival called Circus de Smurgeon.
Yeah, whatever that weird thing was. Yes.
He called it the Circus of Pain, and he was really into scary clowns. I always thought that was cool.
Yep.
He was into scary clowns.
The first film I ever worked on with Dave was something called Big Game. Remember that one? With a winger and hunting clowns and
God, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit over here? So that way, because
yeah, get both of you in. Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to. I should have had this set up sooner, but I didn't. So
that's fine. That's fine.
We had a problem in the basement. Had to move a bunch of stuff upstairs. So trying to get that all sorted out. So
If
you guys look at her. So.
Sure
But yeah, I do remember Dave Barry, and I remember, just, and again, some of this is like hearsay, but it does feel like that there's an active effort to make Kansas City into something better as filmmakers, but I think we gotta take more chances. I think we gotta take more, risks, but not at the risk of, getting people hurt or like risk,
exactly.
I do feel like there's a lot of I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's a strong horror community, and there's a lot of people making short horror films, feature horror films, and but I feel like some of those horror films, and again, personal preference, but some of those horror films don't have a lot of bite. They're like the hallmark of horror films. And
Right.
I don't say that with any malice. I just say that as just a personal preference. And if we're making the same stuff over and over again, and I'm guilty of this,
Yeah.
I keep making the same things over and over again, but it's
Just
like
putting a different dressing on it. Exactly.
yeah, and it's hard to break out of that bubble. So obviously we need better screenwriters to get on the page and do some things. And there are some people that are writing and they're doing their own things, but writing is a gosh, it's really, really difficult. It's super difficult.
I know.
And I'd like to see, I mean, I would like to see more writers come up and, start saying, hey, I got a screenplay, let's make it, and, what's happening in your screenplay? Well, we've got a helicopter crash, a Lamborghini chase, and maybe some horseback riding, and it's like, okay,
how you gonna pay for all that?
all that.
That's another thing that I think holds us back is the money's just not there for all the cool stuff like that.
Yeah. And respectfully, there's ways around it. Like a good creative script could problem solve a lot of the things that I'm complaining about. But again, I haven't got off my butt and made a great script yet, so I'm currently working on getting better at screenwriting. I'm also going to digital. I'm getting my digital cinematography degree at Full Sail Online. Awesome. And that's something I probably should have did a long time ago, but I just felt like I never really could find a place, and I felt like I really like taking pictures and photographs. And I'm always hanging around the camera guys, asking them questions like, how does this work? How's that work? And I was like, maybe I should just have no idea one of the things that it's very interesting to see things from an older person's perspective going through like a younger person's course, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because there's lots of, like there's people out there that like say, hey, I'm going to be a TikTok star. It's like, good luck,
Okay, good luck with that.
Have fun with that, and there's, there's, say what you will, social media has changed filmmaking, like a million Instagram followers, you know, and all that, then it's like if she decided, hey, I'm gonna produce a film, then she maybe has that audience to follow her along with her journey and help support. But you know, when you're starting out and you're trying to find a way to get a camera, you know, and things like that, I can understand being a younger filmmaker, it's just easier just to use your phone and do everything, you know, which is fine. You know, that's a great way to start. I think there's less excuses now to make film, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot less excuses. There's a lot less technical hurdles. I can't imagine trying to shoot something on 16 millimeter and then editing it by hand or whatever, and then, you know, having it develop, whatever the process was. It's just, I can't imagine that now. So in one respect, it's fascinating that people can make films on their phones, and, you know, with some planning and proper, you know, sound and everything, you can make something that rivals, you know, something that's somebody pays a lot of money for. So
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Just this device, you could easily be sure you hold it like this, folks, not like this.
Yes.
yeah, please do.
This is annoying. This is the way to go. Yeah. Yeah.
But Andrea, what are your thoughts? Because you've been quiet.
I would like to see more collaboration between people who don't normally collaborate in this area. Like I feel like people, and I understand, like most people want to work with their friends, but I think it would be good to have groups that don't normally work together start to work together, because I think that could increase the quality of films coming out.
So sounds like we're all on the same page there. Yeah, with all the different groups, you got the IFC, you got the Women in Film, you got the Screenwriters group, you got Video Corps. You see some of the same people, and but still different subsets. I mean, IFC, that's people like us for the most part. And Jason, you know this, but Video Corps, that's more techie guys.
Yeah, Video Corps is pretty impressive. They were actually very helpful. One of the projects I did, the Iron Detective Sentinel, the Video Corps guys were really cool about helping out with Adobe. Like our friend Rachel Manna, she won the Video Corps Adobe Creative Cloud Suite for a year. When she got that, she was kind enough to let us use it to make a lot of the Iron Detective projects.
Awesome.
And Video Corps was really cool about, you know, just like, you know, having a sense of community, but also having a sense of, you know, hey, if you come to our meetings, there's something in it for you, but also you're not just going to get software, you're going to get knowledge, you know. And I think knowledge is something that is, you know, I think it's great when people share knowledge. I try to be kind of a teacher if I can, but I'm not, you know, I'm not really qualified to be a teacher, but I'll definitely try and share knowledge when I can and share ideas. I have a ton of ideas all the time, and it's a blessing and a curse. And I do feel that there's so many avenues and things that people maybe don't consider because, and again, I may be projecting perhaps, but it does feel like there's a lot of talent in Kansas City that's kind of just waiting for something to happen too.
Right.
It's like nothing's going to happen if you don't get off your butt and do something, you know. And I've told some actor friends a while back. I said, yeah, it's like, if you're not getting cast anything, why don't you just write a part for yourself and something?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, why wait for somebody to give you a cool role? It's like, I wanted to play that character. That would have been cool. No, why don't you just write a character? And, you know, I'm not saying it's easy to write, but what I'm saying is that, you know, if people want to be a part of something, they've got to be, nobody's going to be excited about your projects as you are. And I've learned that that's one lesson I've learned,
Yeah.
lugging around my own IP forever.
So that's so true. That's so true.
It goes from one thing to the next. And what I find is funny is like it doesn't happen overnight either. I mean, you have to build up those relationships, you have to build up that network,
Mhm.
and there's a reason why I can do things that another filmmaker not because I'm better or anything. I just happen to have a relationship previously built with certain people that have certain resources.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like some friends will call on me and say, "Hey, can I borrow one of those prop thingies you got?" And I try to be helpful. It slowed down a lot during the pandemic because obviously the pandemic, but I did have friends that would borrow props and things from me occasionally. And I got a couple of friends that want to borrow some props, pretty soon.
Cool.
I am working on a couple of ideas that are kind of like sketches and things. One of them involves, oh yeah, cool. One of them involves this guy.
The Joker. All right.
Hello. He's I'm working with Michael McQuarrie. I think Michael McQuarrie is Kansas City's Mark Hamill, if you will. I don't think Michael gets enough to do, and he's a talented actor. I really like him, and I want to work with him on everything, but schedules and costuming and things. And the problem I have, and I admit, the problem I have is that the projects I try and do are always really ambitious, and I need to always kind of rein it in. But I'm getting to a point where I can okay, well, I don't necessarily need this thing to happen, but I can, if I can get a good talent attached, that'd be great.
Mhm.
One thing that Andrea brought up was that there's other markets that we could look at and see, and I'm sure that there are people doing that, but it's I don't think we're talking about it enough. It's and I say this, not without any offense. I say it just as an observation. Yay, we got this hurdle crossed. Okay, well, what's the next hurdle? What are we doing looking forward?
Right.
And and some of the things that are happening that I have no say or control over. And so I'm very ignorant on a lot of those things, but I'd love to know more,
Absolutely.
I think part of the problem too, and I'm including us in this, is the lack of how to raise money, except for say Kickstarter. I mean, there are other ways that some people raise money for their films, but I'm not knowledgeable about that other than watching a few YouTube videos.
Well, I've said before, I'll say again, I'm a terrible fundraiser. Yeah, I'm just bad at it, whether it's film or politics, just bad.
It would help to have maybe business or financial professionals interested in starting to work on film, like producing, maybe learning some of the craft that could actually help out with that.
Sure. And the irony of that, of course, is I have a business degree. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might understand it better than most people then.
Well, we should have a talk off the mic whenever we can talk about some producing.
Well, Stephen Pruitt, he's a professor at UMKC, teaches finance there.
I'm familiar with it.
Finance for film or just finance?
Finance, periods.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually had his class and got a D in that class.
Yeah. What did you learn?
Well, he only tested on two. He only graded on two tests. The midterm and the final. So.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of math involved, but by bringing him up, because of course we all know he's a filmmaker as well, and a very good one.
Yeah, he's produced a couple of features for sure that I'm having trouble keeping up with everybody's stuff, but I'm aware of him. I feel like the fact that he has that finance, knowledge is probably very helpful, on the business side of it. And,
Yeah.
I need to get better with the business side of filmmaking for sure. But that being said, it's nice to know that if there's somebody that knows finance and business, is like, say, here, let me take care of this part. You deal with, the casting and all that. And of course, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have an angel investor or an angel producer.
Yeah.
But, some people are passionate about their projects, and they're going to put their projects ahead of yours naturally.
Yeah.
So I do see that. I do see that a lot as well. But, what is it other than barbecue and, a couple of sports teams that other people from other markets can see in Kansas City? I mean, we all talk about this, but, again, it's worth mentioning Ozark and Sharp Objects, supposed to be set in Missouri.
Right.
And they have second unit stuff come out and they film, oh yeah, I recognize that highway. But, that's obviously the second unit. It's like, that is totally not Missouri. That is totally not Ozarks. That, that's Georgia, and, it happens. I mean, Toronto and Dallas, other cities will double for other cities, back in the day. But now there's a lot of just stuff going straight to Atlanta, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's a market there.
Yeah.
There's an industry there. And it's like, do we move there and do we become part of that machine, or do we try and keep, kicking Kansas City's butt, down the road and say, all right, come on, get up, let's do this, And I think it's possible. I think there are some local filmmakers that are, branching out a bit, but they're keeping quiet about it, which is probably smart because, they don't want, I feel like they're, again, the fear factor, maybe they're like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to blow this deal, and I get that. That makes sense.
Right.
But there's also some risk that needs to be, accepted when you become a filmmaker. So
we really need, Missouri and Kansas as well really should pass film and TV incentives. Both states used to have some. I mean, there's no reason not to. It'll add to jobs. If there are bigger film and TV shows filmed in this area, there will probably be people wanting to visit, so tourist money. I mean, there's no reason not to. I think in Missouri, they just haven't gone around to voting for it for some reason.
Right.
It seems like everybody agrees.
Yeah, you and Caroline Boehner have said pretty much the same thing on the tax credits, that they need to happen in order to attract jobs here. Good luck doing that in Kansas, because Brownback, first thing he did in office was axe the Kansas Arts Commission. So,
of course, if we could, the current governor, maybe she would be more likely to. I mean, it adds to jobs. So Republicans would be happy as well. It's a no-brainer. It brings money into the area.
I think a lot of people are, I'm sorry if I interrupted.
no, go ahead.
I think a lot of people are kind of the mindset that filmmaking is, again, there's people that are just like, oh yeah, I have my nephew, he makes movies and he's done a couple film festivals, and they just blow it off. It doesn't seem like real life to some people, and I get that. And again, I say it, maybe I'm projecting, but it does seem like there's a Midwestern mentality, if you will. I'm like, oh yeah, we've got everything we need here. Why do we want to make movies here, and it's like, if you're in the entertainment industry, then you're just like, well, yeah. And I feel like that's why some people move. We've had a lot of great talent that's come to Kansas City, which has moved to other states and better markets because that's where money's at. And understandably, that's the way it's going to stay. And for me, I think that, I'd love to actually, I'm interested in the podcast format. I thought about doing one myself, but I really don't know if I have anything to say that'd be worth listening to. So because I was like, what is this guy talking about? He's crazy, But at the same time, I do feel that communicating and networking is a big part of it too, because I've had people reach out to me and I'm like, how do I know you? I'm like, well, yeah, I saw you at this thing, and and they do all the detective work for you. It's like, oh yeah, okay. My memory, I slept since yesterday, so I don't remember where that meeting was.
Right.
But I do feel that a lot of young filmmakers need to be prepared for the reality that there's going to be a lot of people telling you no. There's going to be a lot of no's before you get a one yes, and granted, you have to be careful about who you say yes to as well, do a little research, get on IMDb, some people, like, I'll see posts in like social media groups that are just like, hey, we're casting a movie, we're shooting this weekend, we're going to
Not enough notice.
we're going to give you credit, and you got to bring your own car, and just, it's like, what's in it for the performer, what's in it for the actor,
At the very
So
least, gas money would be nice.
like, some actors are basically paying to be in other people's projects, and again,
That's unfortunately true. Yeah. So
and I say that
I'm guilty of that too. I'm guilty.
I say that as I am guilty of that. I have been that person that would do that. Be like, yeah, we'll get some pizza, and we'll get some, 6 packs of, soda, and then as you get older, we'll have some beer after the shoot or whatever. And that's not enough. That's not enough to get people excited about movie making anymore. I mean, they can go to a party and have beer and pizza. You know what I mean? So, and parties are more fun than being on a movie set, for the most part. But, again, there's other avenues we can do as well. There's like, I've talked with people about puppet shows. I've talked with people about, maybe doing an animation studio, and people are like, well, where are you going to get the money to do all that? It's like, well, okay, come on. There's the Adobe Creative Cloud. There's some really talented animators, if like 5 or 6 of these animators would just forge together and start an animation studio, say, all right, we're going to produce the simplest, cheapest content possible, but it's going to be good content, and see what happens with it. That's a possibility, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because they might have 5 or 6 other projects on their plate, or they're currently working on their passion project, which is going to put your project or collaboration on the bottom of their to-do list.
Sure.
And again, speaking of Dave Barry, I remember he had tons of ideas, and like, just off the cuff, he would have an idea that was just like, I was like, oh, that's really cool, man. I hope, when you're going to do with that. He's like, I'm not sure. I'm still working on it, and unfortunately he passed, and, I mean, but he, it happens. Life catches up with everybody. And it feels like if we have an opportunity to, be positive, and just, there's so many people telling you gotta have like a childlike mentality about it. You got to have that optimism that just doesn't die. It's like, hey, let's go in the backyard and let's put up a sheet, and let's watch a movie from our childhood. There's that. But then there's like, hey, let's go in the backyard and let's make a movie that's about our childhood. And because we have no money, we're gonna film it in our backyard. We're gonna film at grandma's house because she's gone for a week. And I mean, think about the resources that you have access to, and you can make something pretty cool. I've seen people pull off some amazing stuff for basically no money because they know somebody. It's like, I know this guy that has this cool car, and he'd love to show it off in a movie. Of course, he's got to be there on set with it, but otherwise we can photograph it, and it'd be great. And it's just little things like that, and then before you know it, you've got a network of those favors or those ideas, and you can make something cool. But after a while, there are people that are just like, hey, I can't do this anymore. I got bills to pay. So it's like,
yeah.
And I have, rightfully so, I've had people turn me down. They're just like, I cannot spend an entire day working on your passion project. Sorry. Like, okay, and there are some people that are willing to work with you on that, and there's some that are not. So, it's a balancing act. But I will say that I love Kansas City. It's where I'm from, and I am optimistic about it, but I don't know. I don't really know if it's ever going to kick off in my lifetime. I'd like to see it get bigger, but
we can start the ball rolling now. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think the ball's been rolling. It's just, it's really,
nudge. Yeah. Nudge, or in football terms, just run it up the middle.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I do have to wrap it up here in the next couple of minutes. Any closing thoughts from you guys?
Andrea? I mean, I guess my closing thoughts are, I hope that the information that again, this is going to be an exploration, but I hope the information that I'm trying to learn and share is something that will be useful to other people. But at the same time, I will admit when I'm wrong, and I could be wrong. There could be some things in place that I don't even know about. So if I am, please let me know, because I want to be a part of the elevation of Kansas City's film scene instead of, the perpetual, ghetto that we seem to be in, according to one person. But I also think that, there definitely needs to be a focus on good storytelling. And I'm guilty of this too. I need to be a better screenwriter. I need to, why does this movie I love stick with me all these years? Because if you look at the script, you look at the structure, there's a good story there. There's a good beginning, middle, and end. And I kind of miss when entertainment was just about being entertaining, not, shoving a message down people's throats. And I'm not saying that all entertainment's like that. There is still some good stuff out there, but there does seem to be a lot of entertainment that is not really entertaining. It's just, it's a chore to watch, and people get off work, they don't want to see something, that they're dealing with in real life anyways. I mean, there's a difference between being able to relate to something, and there's a difference between shoving a political message into a project and trying to hang, a Star Wars or a Netflix approved banner on that. And I mean, nothing, don't get me wrong. I love Star Wars and I like Netflix, but
I think the way George Lucas did it was good. Like he would weave it into the story, which is a way to actually, people were more likely to listen.
But one thing about George Lucas also is that there was an obvious transition from when he was a filmmaker into a businessman. And we don't have the businessman here in Kansas City yet. We've got a lot of filmmakers, but not a lot of businessmen. So hopefully that'll change.
Yeah, hopefully so. All right. Well, we unfortunately got to wrap it up. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, Andrea, for coming on the podcast, and talk to you both soon.
All right. Thanks for having us on, man. Have a good day.
Yep.
This podcast is Uncalled For is hosted, produced and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Cool Hard Facts by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The outro music for all 2022 Virtual Fringe Festival episodes is Open Door by Little Glass Men, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution license. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting platform. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast, and check out our blog with show notes at uncalledfor.home.blog. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.